Expect more right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
We're hopeful that they'll continue to keep a hold on everything that's going on.
Hope and also uncertainty. A vague threat prompting heightened security for tens of thousands of students and more than 200 schools across Jefferson County. Thanks for joining us for Wave 3 News at 6. I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. Jefferson County Public Schools, Catholic schools, and the University of Louisville all say they are open tomorrow, but they do plan to have additional security there.
Wave 3 News reporter Connie Leonard joining us live from the Van Hoos Education Center with more on what will take place tomorrow, Connie.
Yeah, guys, well, for the most part, let me just say that parents and school officials are concerned, but they're staying pretty calm at this point about this threat that was made for public and private schools in the city of Louisville and made on the LMPD tip line. Now, all the schools that we've talked to say they will be open tomorrow, and they're going to be acting just like JCPS. JCPS plans to be on heightened alert, and that means level 3 security. That's just reinforcing the locked door policy already in place and monitoring all doors. Now, students who have to go from one building to another will be walked out by staff, and all outdoor activities like PE and recess will be canceled. The JCPS Director of Operations compares the threat to those made in LA and New York recently. He tells us his son will be at school tomorrow.
This was non-specific, but it is our every intention, first of all, to communicate to parents, to make parents aware of what's going on, to keep them in the loop, because I realize and we realize that children are your world, your life. They are your everything, and we want you to know that we're not going to trifle with that responsibility. So keeping them safe and keeping parents aware of what's going on is #1 concern in our book.
It's upsetting, and thankfully, you know, we're a family that believes in prayer, so that's kind of what we have to rely on.
I think it's more or less somebody that just wants to stir up trouble. It makes me uncomfortable, yes, but I think they have things under control. I think they'll handle everything. I don't think she would want to miss. She hasn't missed a day yet, so I don't think she would want to.
All right, so what about all those Friday night games out there? They're going to go on as usual. If you've been to any games, you know there are police officers there for security. And by the way, they don't know who made this threat, but they put the reminder out there that even if it's a student, if it's found out, they will be prosecuted. Reporting live from JCPS, Connie Leonard, Wave 3 News.
Thanks, Connie. And in less than an hour, a rally to push for more state education funding. JCPS parents encouraged to attend that rally, but they'll likely have the school threat on their minds as well. Wave 3 News reporter Casey Cunningham joining us live from Westport Middle School. And Casey, Superintendent Hargens is supposed to be there tonight, right?
Yes, Scott, she's here right now along with other parents and school board members, and they have a message for lawmakers now that they're in the legislative session. They're asking for no more cuts to Kentucky education. The Kentucky Center for Economic Policy released information that says Kentucky is the 10th worst state when it comes to K-12 state funding cuts. The rally has a variety of speakers and will start in about a half an hour. We did have time to speak to organizers who said despite that school threat, they're still expecting a big turnout, though they know it may bring some attention away from their message. Tonight, we will bring you more at 11 along with reaction from parents in regards to this school threat, whether or not they're going to send their kids to school tomorrow or decide to keep them home. Live in Louisville, Casey Cunningham, Wave 3 News.
Thanks, Casey. It has been nearly 2 years since a Shively toddler died after he was in the care of his mother's boyfriend.
And today, some strong words from that child's family after prosecutors sentenced 27-year-old LaJuan Hayes for that crime. Wave 3 News reporter Katie Bauer joining us live tonight from the Judicial Center. And this was an amended plea, Katie?
Yeah, Shannon, LaJuan Hayes pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the first degree. This was an Alfred plea, meaning he maintains his innocence, but acknowledges that there was enough evidence to convict.
It was an emotional day inside a Jefferson County courtroom as family members made their presence known, seeking justice for 2-year-old Alfonso Thomas Jr., known as AJ.
And I cannot understand how anybody could do what he did to my grandson.
In March of 2014, EMS was called to a home in Shively. AJ was unresponsive. Police said it was clear the child had been beaten and had burns all over his body. AJ passed away while in surgery. Prosecutors say the man responsible for his death is 27-year-old LaJuan Hayes, who at the time was dating the child's mother.
This was an injury that would have occurred within the time period that he was left with Mr. Hayes.
Hayes agreed to plead guilty to the amended charge of manslaughter and was sentenced to 18 years in prison.
And I don't think this is enough.
I will tell the court that not everyone is happy with this resolution.
AJ's mother also addressed the court.
Because every day I wake up, he's not there. And this is like a flash. Because every day I hope that he still is here.
A familiar pain for so many.
It's not a day that goes by I don't think about him.
Before Hayes was taken away, he had this to say to the family.
It was a freak accident, and I felt like I was helping AJ. There was things that I should have done that I didn't do, and I want to apologize to y'all about that. But in my eyes, I was not trying to abuse AJ.
We can finally shut this door and start healing. His reasons was not good enough today in court for why. But I'm glad that me and my family, the Thomas family, even the Hayes family, we can begin to heal.
And under this agreement, Hayes is ineligible for parole, and he must serve 85% of this sentence before he can even be considered for parole. Live downtown, Katie Bauer, Wave 3 News.
Katie, thanks. A man on the run for 24 hours now charged with Metro Louisville's first murder of the year. But it was not the man you saw police chase down last night right here on Wave 3 News. Wave 3 News reporter Gordon Boyd's been on the case since it broke in Valley Station's Autumn Lake neighborhood yesterday morning. He joins us live, and we understand that this man, Austin Patton, had agreed to surrender at LMPD headquarters, but then didn't show up.
Shannon, his lawyer says he got scared. His family says the detectives had been tracking his cell phone pretty much the whole time, arrested him at a motel in Shepherdsville, where he's admitted to doing it, but is couching it as a justifiable end to a dangerous love triangle.
I was in the back part of my trailer and heard 2 gunshots.
He has told you he's the shooter.
He is the shooter. That's never been in doubt.
Lawyer Skip DeLure says that Austin Patton's not explained why he ran afterward, leaving his father Rodney's home in the Autumn Lake Mobile Home Park, while Marky Morgan lay in the backyard, bleeding from the bullet wounds that killed him an hour later.
Based upon the facts I have now, I think he's got legitimate self-defense.
That's what I would have in my mind if I saw the guy beat my dad up.
Neighbor Joyce Watkins didn't see the shooting, but maintains that Marky Morgan had a history of attacking Rodney Patton over a woman. Did you see anybody out in the yard besides Rodney and Austin and Marky Morgan?
No. No, not at that time.
Austin Patton's friends and family say he began calling them minutes after the shooting, telling him that Morgan came at his father and his father's girlfriend, Morgan's estranged wife, with a brick, leaving him no choice but to shoot. Watkins says she saw no brick, only Morgan struggling to breathe and Austin Patton leaving with his girlfriend.
He wasn't like he was fleeing. It was just like he was walking a little fast, but not running.
Explaining the 3-hour search by air and ground, Patton has a record for theft and drugs. His lawyer says he'd been placed on diversion. Patton now charged with murder, tampering with evidence, and possessing a handgun.
He gave a statement to his involvement, yes.
Watkins says Rodney Patton drove Morgan's wife and 3-year-old daughter back home in a pickup seized to examine. Unclear whether the little girl saw her dad shot.
Babies are being left behind in this world with no missing parents, missing father, mother, brother. It's got to stop.
We've not been able to reach Rodney Patton nor Marky Morgan's other family members. Police believe that Austin Patton tried to sell the gun they believe was used in this case. A friend was with Patton at the time he was arrested, will not face charges. Live at LMPD headquarters, Gordon Boyd, Wave 3 News.
Thanks, Gordon. Well, he's got plenty of basketball fans.
Certainly does, and soon some foodie fans too. When and where you can get a bite to eat at Junior Bridgman's new restaurant.
And a former Louisville prosecutor with a very well-known brother arrested, but it's not his first time on the other side of the law.
And if you thought today was warm, we've got temperatures that will be going up over the next couple of days. What about the rain and snow chances? Latest on those coming up in just a few moments.
Thanks for joining us for Wave 3 News at 6. And no one won the Powerball, so you have another chance. Right now at wave3.com, we have a slideshow of which numbers win the most. A former Louisville prosecutor facing a felony assault charge.
Matt Conway, brother of former Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate Jack Conway, appearing in court this morning. The former Jefferson County Assistant Commonwealth's attorney is accused of grabbing his wife by the throat and slamming her head against the wall. She went to the hospital for cuts, a swollen eye, and marks on her neck. And this is not his first run-in with the law. He was arrested for DUI in 2012, charged with assault for allegedly punching a woman in a limo in 2013. In 2010, Metro Narcotics was investigating him, and an officer was fired for tipping him off. He was never charged. Today, his bond was set at $5,000. Well, the deadline for Republican candidates to file for Kentucky's first presidential caucus is today.
And while not as publicized as the Iowa caucus and New Hampshire primary, some experts say that the later date of this caucus will actually play a big role in the nomination because there are so many candidates. The caucus is March 5th, so if you want to vote in it, you need to have registered as a Republican before the end of last year. Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, Chris Christie, Carly Fiorina, John Kasich, Rand Paul. A lot of names are all going to be on that ballot. Kentucky is holding its first caucus, so Senator Rand Paul can run for president and Senate re-election too.
Well, Beecher Terrace could get more than $1 million in funding.
That is under a new grant proposal, and it would pump $1.5 million into neighborhood beautification projects, improvements to business fronts, as well as a neighborhood Wi-Fi program. That's helpful. It would also go toward fresh food initiatives like farmers markets and mobile fresh food vendors.
I would like to see vacant properties cleaned up. I would like to see more businesses so I don't have to go outside of the Russell community to go shopping or to go to dinner or to go to the movies. I can stay within the Russell community and just walk to entertainment.
The Louisville Metro Housing Authority intends to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in February.
Well, remember this, a drone crashing into Commonwealth Stadium right before the Cats kick off.
And tonight, one of last year's drone dramas reaches a solution.
And with rain on the way, will it ruin your weekend plans? Meteorologist Ryan Hoke times it all out.